All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the AI Lunch Break series. Today, we are diving into social media with the fabulous Ed Troxel, one of the SBDC advisors here and who specializes especially in social media. If you joined us before, awesome. If this is your first time, welcome. You're in for a fast and practical session focused on your time, your budget, and your business needs. We don't get into much PowerPoints or anything. This is all live demos, and this session is going to go till 12:30, and then we're going to have an open office Q&A 12:30 to 1. So you can join that for open discussion and bring your questions. That way, people who don't have questions can leave at 12:30. You can also feel free to drop in your questions in the chat as we go, and we will get to them. If it's a clarifying question, I will stop and we'll include that. Otherwise, we'll save it for the end. I'm Kathy Ballack, and I'm a regional AI specialist and lead business advisor specializing in marketing. And today we have Ed Troxel, like I said, who is our social media specialist. So I'm going to let Ed take it from here. Ed.
Awesome. Thank you, Kathy. Welcome, everyone. I'm excited. Feel free to use that chat. We'll both be keeping an eye on that. And as Kathy said, if you're not already an SBDC client, highly encourage you to become one. You don't have to work with just me, although it is fun. We do have plenty of other advisors on so many different levels of expertise that will blow your mind. So definitely be sure to leverage the opportunity. And if you don't need it, but you know another small business owner, share it with them because everyone should know about the SBDC, and it's a secret. So let's spread it and make sure it's not a secret anymore. All right, so I am going to go ahead and share my screen here, and let me go ahead and rearrange my chat window so I can see you and the chat. And I'll probably be looking down, and that's okay because my other screen is over here. Now, as Kathy said, this is going to go pretty quick. So if things go over your head, you're like overwhelmed, whatever happens, just know that it's okay. We're here to learn something new. We're going to plant the seed for a lot of things, and hopefully you'll be able to take something new home with you to go practice as well. So what you're seeing here is Google Docs. Now, you can use notes in your app on your iPhone or Microsoft Word, whatever it is. I love Google Docs. It's easy for me to create a document and share. So I'm going to show you a little bit of my process when I'm using AI to create content, and then we're going to go through a couple different AI options for creating that content. So first off, with a Google Doc, for you, what I would suggest is creating something similar. And if you didn't know, Google now has these tabs. So I'm just going to create a new tab. It creates a full new document. And then what I would say for you is you're going to rename this to Content Library. Now, the reason why you want to have something like this is because as you start to play with AI and as you start to create content, you're going to come up with phrases, we call them prompts, that you're going to want to potentially save, or you're going to have ideas in the moment, like maybe during the session, for content that you're going to want to use later in ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever your favorite AI tool is. So having a document where you can just list things is super important. Now you can break this down into having just the one document here and then having headings like social media. You can break it down into Instagram, whatever works for you. The alternative, if you really want to get organized, now that there's tabs, you can actually hit a sub tab. So under content library, you can have something that's only for your Instagram. So all your things will be listed here for Instagram. Again, this is super helpful for organizing your ideas, your prompts, and your questions. So let's say that you are going through Instagram's your channel, you're creating ideas on here, you have some prompts that you like, but then you have questions. And you're like, wait, who do I ask about this? Oh, that's right. I signed up for SBDC services. I have a business advisor who I could make a session with. I'm going to ask these questions when I meet with them. Boom. Everything's right here. You don't have to waste time trying to figure out where it's at or what questions you had. So that's
Hey,
how you
Ed.
can start to use this. Yep.
I just want to interrupt because Loy said that she's in, she's trying it with you. and
Yeah.
said that she can't find it. So it might be that left panel's not is closed, I'm
Ah,
assuming.
yes. Sometimes some people might not have it on their panel side here. It could also be a different view option. Um, Take a look at that. If not, since we don't have a whole lot of time to troubleshoot, you can also try Google search later for Google Docs tabs. Those would be things that I would type into search. All right, so now that we're here, a couple tools. There's plenty of AI tools out there, especially if you've been following the series, you probably know of some, but there's plenty of tools out there. My favorite, really my top two favorite, are ChatGPT and Gemini is the one that I kind of have as my backup, if you will. So if I had to put them in order, ChatGPT is first, and then Gemini is second, and I play between the two. What does that mean? We'll take a look here in a second. There's also Canva AI. And what we'll do is we'll take a quick look at that as well. Many of you might already have Canva. You probably are using it for creating your flyers, your social media graphics, designs, all of that. Canva now has Canva AI. So they made it really easy. This is just the homepage where you can go click on Canva AI and then talk about what you want to do. And I say talk because you want to think about AI as a creative partner. It's not a replacement. It's not going to do everything for you. It's just a creative partner for you to bounce ideas off of, for you to get out of that stuck mode where you have that writer's block, that creative block. So use AI as another friend that you're talking to and have a conversation with that. So this is where you can do it. We won't do that right here because I actually already did one that I just want to show you kind of what that looks like in this process. So I went ahead and I started with a AI small business from social media to email newsletter, and I gave it a prompt. I was talking about I'm giving a presentation, this presentation, to small business owners who are not tech savvy, and I need to business examples, one product and one service to show examples for how to use AI to create. And then I have these three options. Now, see how specific I got. And of course, I could get even more specific, but I'm telling it who my audience is. I know that most are probably not tech savvy, and that's okay. That's not a problem. And I'm saying that I need two examples, not just an example, but two. And then I got more specific. I said I need one that's product and one that's service based. And then I'm telling it to cover these three things: a social media post, turned into a blog post, turned into an email newsletter. Because when we're thinking about our marketing and we're thinking about the content that we're creating, we don't need to be pumping out 5 pieces of content a day for all these different channels. You can create one piece of content, let's say your Instagram post, because you love Instagram and that's your main focus. Take that post and now repurpose it into a blog post. You're basically just expanding it. And it's easy now because you have AI to help support you with that. And then you can take that blog post and pull a paragraph and pop it into an email newsletter. Do you see how now you used to be overwhelmed with, I got to post on social, I got to post a blog post, and I got to send out an email newsletter? Well, we just simplified that. And I know there's probably a little bit more to it, right? But we just simplified it for you so that you can take the one thing you're focused on, which is an Instagram post, take the same topic, almost the same context, and expand it into a blog post, and then contract it a little bit for your email newsletter. And now you've hit 3 different touch points in your marketing. So that's what I want you to start thinking about when you're creating content is how can you leverage what you're doing and work smarter with what the tools that you have. And then I told it what I'm going to do. I would like to demo this. So it gave me this. So the first one is a local bakery. It broke down the idea generation, the text generation, images that I could have for this. I also then got a local yoga studio. Great. We have both of those. And then it asks me, again, it's a conversation. It asks me, I tell it, yes, let's run with those two examples because it was prompting me on that piece to clarify and make sure those are what I want to go with. And then boom, here's my local bakery, here's some info that it gave me, and my yoga studio.
So,
Then I'm,
and you're doing this
yeah,
in, sorry to interrupt, you're doing this in Canva.
yes.
So I'm just curious, are you finding that to be as good with the text as you are finding, when you work with ChatGPT or Google Gemini?
Yeah, it's decent. So you bring up a great question. So while I didn't run this exact one in ChatGPT, I did actually do that in Gemini. And so Gemini, just to show everyone a quick example, it gave me some um, images. Again, I told it what I was looking for there. But if we go down here, we're going to see, let me just see here, it gave me almost something similar. Let me open up this one. It gave me a local artisan bakery, so still with the bakery. And then it gave me a bunch of captions. We'll take a look at that here in a second. And then let me go down here. Where's our other one? And then it gave me a creative canvas studio, so a freelance graphic designer. So this is why it's important to test at least two different ones. Let's not get crazy. You don't have to go into three, four, five different AIs because you don't have time for that and it's going to be too overwhelming. Two is already overwhelming. So if you like the AI tool you're using, great. Just mix in every once in a while another one just to see what it gives you. So this personally, I don't use Canva AI. I use it Canva for everything else, but I don't use Canva AI. I was pretty impressed with it. Here's some social media posts. Here's a blog post that it gave me. Let's take a look. This one's introducing our summer sensation, the raspberry lemon cake. If we go over to Gemini, let's take a look at what it gave us for a social media post. New fall favorite alert. Our oven baked the Daily Crumb have been busy baking truly special our new pumpkin spice sourdough, right? So what I like about using the different AI programs, and ChatGPT will be very similar. So what we just saw with Canva, same thing you can type into Gemini or ChatGPT, and you can go ahead and play with those results. And then you can mix and pull from any of them. Because here's the important thing. When you are using AI, you are not going to copy and paste directly to the final location. Meaning, I am not going to go ahead and say, great, this sounds amazing. Let's go ahead and copy this and pop it onto Instagram. No, I might take this and paste it over here on my doc and start to edit the caption. This is very, very important. I cannot stress this enough because you're going to use AI for more things than just social media. You're probably going to use it for email responses. And it is way too easy to copy and paste to the final location and hit send. Therefore, you sent something that said, Dear first name. It happens a lot. Same thing with social media. It's not going to have the exact text that is going to reflect you and your business. It's just not. So you want to make sure you're always reviewing things and editing. So you can go in here. We won't spend a bunch of time on here, but I might go in here and change this up and maybe say this, right? So it kind of gives that hook there. And then it goes into a little bit of information. We don't need all these emojis. And then we look down here at our hashtags. If you like using hashtags, great. But take a look at these hashtags because some of them might not be relevant to your business. They might even be relevant to your audience. So keep that in mind that just because it shows the hashtag doesn't mean that it's a good hashtag for you.
I like how it says open at 6 p.m. today too. If you didn't catch that, it's a bakery, right? It probably should be a.m.
Exactly. That's why it's so important to check before you post. And by putting it into a Google Doc, it helps because it tells your brain to not go on autopilot and just copy and post. It's like, oh, we have a step that we have to do. And if we miss that step, we're in trouble. It knows. So just keep that in there. And yes, you definitely want to make sure to keep your brand voice. Again, AI is great. It's super handy. It helps speed things up, but it's not 100% accurate. And you still want to make sure that it's you talking because that's who people want to know who's speaking. They want to be able to know, like, and trust you because you're the small business owner. So now let's take a look even just on Canva here. I'm sorry, Gemini. And what I'm going to do is let's say that you want to have 30 days worth of content. So I'm going to say, I like to talk to it. So great. Now, something simple like that. Again, you can get very specific, more specific the better, but that's just something simple that I put together here. And it's going to think about that. While it's doing that, we'll come back to it. I just want to point out that there's a few prompts here that if you want to take a screenshot of your screen, feel free. I'll increase this just so you can see it. Um, these are a couple prompts. These are not like anything crazy, you know, golden or anything. They're just something to help you if you need them. But you will see that I have the Eds Pro tip. Now, I like doing this, especially if you're too vague in your prompts or you really just don't know what to ask or how to instruct the AI. I always like to add at the end of that prompt that you're putting in, feel free to ask me any questions. This is so good because if you are struggling to figure something out, like maybe you don't know what your brand voice is yet, you can type that into, say, Gemini or ChatGPT and say, feel free to ask me questions. It's going to pull out questions and ask you things that you probably didn't even know. And most likely, your brain is going to be like, oh, it's a question. I can answer that. And then you'll start to automatically answer. And then your AI is going to help you filter out what works and what doesn't for you by asking you those questions. Same thing with your social media posts. Yeah, Kathy.
I was just going to add what I do is say, ask me questions one by one. And I usually capitalize that. I put one by one to make sure you have my proper blah, 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 blah. So I do that a lot of times when
Yeah.
so that it doesn't give you a spill out a whole bunch of questions. Like it just does one and then, gently, guide you through that too. I find that to be really a helpful, another option too.
Yes. I'm just popping these in the chat for you guys in case you're able to copy those. Yeah, exactly. So, and that's the thing. That's a great point too, Kathy brings up because usually when you have it ask you questions, it can be overwhelming because there's probably a good 6 to 10 questions that pop up. And you're like, oh my gosh, I got too many to ask. Now I'm overloaded. So do it step by step. And again, you can tell the AI what you want. So let's take a look at what Gemini might have given us here. Might have to refresh the page. Let's see. And I have ChatGPT pulled up. Again, it's a very popular one. What we did on the other two, you could do over here. What I want to point out with ChatGPT is that there are the free version and the paid version. And I have, not on this account, but on my personal account, I have the paid version. And what's nice is they now have folders over on the side. So you can start organizing things in folders, similar to what we did here with tabs. You can have folders. So a folder could be marketing, social media, my business, brand voice, my book, like whatever it is that you're trying to have as your container, that can be the folder. And then anything related to that would be in that folder, a chat. All right, let's see what we got with what's going on with our Gemini there. Let's close that and just take it over here and see if it will show up. Okay, let's get rid of that. me try it again. And by the way, AI, like I said, is not accurate all the time, and it definitely can give you issues. So what we're experiencing here, but also I've realized, or I ran into the last month twice with ChatGPT. I put in a prompt and carried on that conversation, and then whatever reason, it's weird, and both times happened this month. I'd put in something extra, like, I don't know, maybe I was talking about the brand voice, and then I'd say, like, well, what about this? And it would spit out something that was completely out of left field. It had nothing to do with what I asked it to do. For example, like if I said, create the 30 days of content, it might say, oh, your brand voice is great, and you want to create a speaker sheet. Like, wait, what? We didn't even talk about that. Like, so there are times where that happens. And so sometimes you might just have to refresh that page and re-enter the prompt. Yesterday I had that happen where that those didn't work. And so what I had to do was go in and say, that is not what I asked you. Here is what I asked you. And then it kind of like reset itself. So just know that you can run into those issues. All right, so let's see if we'll just get a new prompt going here.
I love the hello, stupid.
It, I love it too, and it's because this account is under my stupid easy account. So, and I haven't changed it because every time I see that it makes me smile. So anytime you're creating your prompts, again, you put in whatever you want. So can you give me 30 days of Instagram post for my business? So now it's doing that. But look, this is where those questions came from because I started a new chat with it and it doesn't know what business I'm talking about. So now here's where those questions come up. So it just makes it easy. So let me go back here. I'm going to pull up real quick product bakery. And of course, I'm not answering the questions like they asked for. So I'm just dropping this in there to see what it has. See, this is what I mean with you wouldn't copy and paste directly because this is where you need to make those edits. Your bakery name. You don't want to post that on social or in an email because that's not going to be a good look for you. So you go through here and then look, here's week one, the grand introduction. Perfect. Day one, new product launch. And it's telling you you can do a reel or a carousel. And it's giving you all the different things. But let's say you just want the caption. Boom, there's the caption. Day two. Now it's giving you the outline. So you're like, cool, that box is checked. I don't have to think. I hate social media. I didn't want to do this. It's here. The layout's done. Of course, you're going to edit, but then your next thought is, I don't have time for this. When am I going to post this? I don't want to think about this. That's where you're going to have to make time in your calendar, specifically a day and time to help you get through the initial shock of doing this. So ideally, what you want to do is look at your calendar to see when it could be a good time, because if you hate social media, it's probably never going to be a good time. But when could be a good time for you to post your content or at least schedule it? So what does that mean? That means that you can set up something like, say, Monday at 4 p.m., you're going to spend 15 minutes scheduling an Instagram post. See how specific we got? Monday, 4 p.m., 15 minutes, schedule an Instagram post. Your brain is going to say, okay, we got that. It's easy. You have the content. Now you just need to go schedule it. Speaking of that, if you use Canva, depending on your account type, when you go to the share button right up at the top here, you have a built-in scheduler. If you hit the more and then you go down here to social and hit schedule. So you can use the same program you're designing your social media posts in to schedule and post if you wanted to. No downloading required. You can also use a social media scheduling tool like the built-in one for Facebook, or you can just Google social media scheduling tools and see there's so many out there. Later.com is a very popular one, especially for Instagram. But use these tools to help you so you don't have to worry about posting in the moment. You can schedule it and move on. And that's why it's important to have a specific day and time to work on these things. So let's break that down even more. Maybe Monday is the day that you come to AI to come up with four. Because 30 days, let's face it, 30 days, that's a lot. You're overwhelmed and it's a lot. So I just need four, one per week. We'll just see what it gives us. Perfect. So if we're bare minimum posting once a week, now this is more manageable. And you could probably knock this out in 15 to 30 minutes because you have all the content here. Whether or not you're creating a photo or a video, that's a different story. And then you can go schedule it so that maybe Monday you're here drafting everything, Tuesday you're capturing things or designing, and then Wednesday you're scheduling them to go out. Doesn't mean they have to go out on Wednesday. You can schedule them for the following week if you wanted to. And now that we have that, let me go ahead and just take week one. Let's take week one and turn that into a blog post of 1,500 words. Notice I got specific. I didn't just say a blog post. Here it goes. So again, what we would do is we would take all of that information because we have a process and we're going to copy it. We'll go over here. We'll just put a new one here. We'll say blog. There's our blog post. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go through and edit. We're not going to do that right now, but you get the point. You're going to go through and edit. Then you can take that and run with it for your blog post. Again, everything we're doing with Gemini right now, rinse and repeat for ChatGPT, rinse and repeat for Canva AI, rinse and repeat for whatever AI tool you like. Now I want a blurb for my email newsletter. Perfect. Email newsletter. Look at that. It even gives us a subject line. Perfect. So there's our email newsletter. Again, we don't want to send that, so that's why we make sure to always edit. It has everything here. Here's the call to action, because remember, we want calls to action in our posts, in our email. So here's the call to action. Come on down to Crumble today and be one of the first to experience our new favorite summer treat. Mention this email and get 10% off. Again, you don't have to offer discounts, but do you see how that can be more of an incentive? If you are offering discounts, that's a call to action you can put in your email to help get people in the door or to help them buy. It's really, really important to not just post, but post with purpose and have calls to action and keep it simple. You don't have to have everything perfect. In fact, the more real and unpolished, unedited, the better, especially right now, especially when it comes to video. So that should be a huge relief for everyone who is like not a content creator, who didn't want to do all this marketing, who didn't want to show up on social media. That should be a huge relief for you because it wasn't always like that. Now it is. And the more that you can embrace that and have use these tools like AI to help support you in your content creation, the better. So that's how you guys can all go through the different tools. Again, same thing that can be applied for chat, can be applied for Gemini and Canva. Play with your top two just to see what you like. Typically, you're probably going to have the one that you really use all the time, and then you'll have your backup one. If you're really tech savvy, you might have three or four that you're playing between, but that's a lot more tech involved. So keep that in there. All right, so we're going to turn it over to questions here.
Thank you, Ed. And again, for everybody, sign up for the SBDC. Ed is available to talk to about your social media. He's fabulous pro with this. If you're in Sonoma or Solano Nava, and if you're elsewhere, feel free to, there's going to be other SBDC experts who you can work with as well.
Yes.
So with that, again, we thank Solano Napa SBDC and Sonoma SBDC and hope to see you next week.